everyone, Karen Roby here for Tech Republic. We're talking today about typo squatting. It may or may not be a term that you're familiar with, and that's why we have Lance Whitney here with us today to talk about it specifically. And Lance, we're going to talk about how typo squatting can be an issue when it comes to presidential elections, but I think a good place to start first before we get there is exactly what typo squatting is.
Yeah, it's one of those techie terms that a lot of people may not be familiar with, but typo squatting, it's also known as domain squatting. I think the best way to explain it is just to come up, to use an example. So let's say you're trying to go to a particular website, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or Google, and you misspell the name. So instead of typing facebook.com, you type facebook.com or facebook.com. So depending on the company and the domain name, one or two things will happen. Either you'll get an error message telling you that the site can't be found, or if the company has already purchased and registered the incorrect domain name, then the misspelling will just lead you to the correct website. So Facebook has actually registered facebook.com and facebook.com. And so if you type those in by mistake, you'll still get to facebook.com. The problem is, and this was highlighted in a report from a company called Digital Shadows, the problem is that this practice of typo squatting occurs when let's say, malicious company or actor or entity finds a misspelled available domain name, purchases and registers the name, and then uses it for malicious or nefarious purposes.
So yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing, of course, Lance, is that you can't just accidentally type something in and then be redirected to the right place always. So in terms of the presidential elections and why this could be a huge problem, and explain how it will be a problem and what voters can do who may be concerned about it.
Yeah, so in its research, Digital Shadows took a look at different presidential candidates' websites and fundraising websites for the campaigns, not just the regular websites, but also misspelled or alternate spelling sites, and actually found several sites that redirected to the websites of rival candidates. So for example, there's a misspelled website for Elizabeth Warren that actually redirects you to the website for Donald Trump. So there was that problem. And then another problem that they found was that some of these incorrect domain names or alternate domain names actually took you to websites that tried to install malware. And of course, I had to try a couple of these just to see what would happen. And certainly it did try to install malware on my computer, which thankfully Norton found and blocked. But the problem, of course, is that there's already a lot of concern and skepticism and anxiety about our election process and next year's presidential election, with a lot of fake information and phony information being bandied about. So this practice of typo squatting, as it's being used by rival candidates, is only going to serve to make people mistrust what they see already. So some of the things that voters can do to try to guard against this type of behavior that Digital Shadows recommended is, number one, if you come across a website for a political candidate or a political fundraising company or whatnot, and you think it's a little bit hinky, have someone else check it out. Ask somebody else, ask a friend, a family member to check it out and see what they think before you follow up on it, before you donate any money or before you register with the site. Another thing that you can and should do is, if you find a website that seems to belong to a certain candidate, check their social media account before you do anything, because the social media account will typically have links to their actual legitimate websites, and that can tell you if you're on the right track or not.
All right, some great advice there, and and that being for individuals or for voters. What about organizations, companies that may be concerned? Some of the same tips here that they need to follow. Anything additional?
Yeah, definitely. So one piece of advice is for a company, an organization, to try to deter this type of typo squatting or domain squatting is purchase and register alternative domain names to your existing one. So one rule of thumb you can do is find domain names that maybe are 1 or 2 characters off of your current name and go ahead and register those. And you want to try to do it quickly because there are always people out there that are trying to swoop in and capture these domain names while they're still available. So the quicker you can get to this, the better. And one tool that the company recommended that's actually very helpful, I tried it myself, is a tool called DNS Twister. It's available as a downloaded app and as a free website. And with this tool, you can plug in a domain name, such as your own domain name, and it will list several alternative spellings or incorrect spellings of your domain. It will tell you what the status is. Are they already registered? Or are they available? Are they registered, and if by whom? And if they're available, how you can go ahead and purchase them and register them for yourself.
All right, some great information there. Again, Lance, about a topic that everyone may not really be familiar with, or at least they've heard of it but don't really know what the term means. So we appreciate your insight on this. If you'd like to learn more about typo squatting and what you can do to protect yourself, make sure you check out Lance's full article on Tech Republic. Thanks for watching.